Anton Forsberg
Ooh.
came into this season after an astonishing last year. He was awesome. He really was. He became a 1A, 1B tandem type goalie from a waiver pickup, a pretty quick turnaround, but unfortunately his season ended way too early. That game against Edmonton tears both his MCLs, misses the last 2+ months of the season. And what really, really sucked about that one, aside from a serious injury that we never wish upon anyone, but he was really starting to find his game after a slow start.
Yeah, he was. And I'm looking at his game log here, Ross, and so the last, let's see, 5 games of the season, he went 3-1. Obviously, didn't finish that game in Edmonton, and had a 914 save percentage, and even tossed a shutout in there up against Montreal. Like, he was looking like the guy the Ottawa Senators needed him to be, which was great because at the start of the year, he was holding down the fort for Cam Talbot, and it seemed like it was too much for him, right? Like, I don't think anyone really thought Anton Forsberg was a starter. I think, at least I'll speak for myself, I thought he was a good 1B goalie option, and he needed a guy like Cam Talbot that could be a 1A for him, or at least they could go back and forth between being the A guy. And I mean, it's tough for Forsberg because this was a guy the Ottawa Senators picked up on waivers. He ends up being a really great fit. They signed him to a good deal. He finally has stability. He finally has a chance to kind of make his mark here, and then it's got a dark cloud over it with that massive, massive injury.
Oh, it's just so tough to watch. The body kind of contort over itself, and with your foot against your post, he was in the reverse VH, right? So you have that post jammed up against your skate, and there's no give. Like, your leg is moving with that weight on you. There's nothing you can do to stop it. So unfortunately missed the end of the season, but fortunately he's already back skating without gear, and he'll be ready for training camp. He still played 28 games though, and that speaks to you mentioning off the top, they just ran with him right out of the gate. And again, the best ability is availability, and Cam Talbot just simply didn't have that this year, where Anton Forsberg had to step in, play 28 games. He had 11 wins, which probably you don't love. 11 wins, 11 losses, 2 ties, or 2 overtime losses, ties. Wow. I need to, like, the Leafs win 3 games in a series, automatically I'm shuttled back to 2004 for a minute. Please, please spare me. But with Anton Forsberg, a 3.26 goals against average, a 902 save percentage, and a minus 1.8 goals saved above expected. And that's a stat that Forsberg dominated in last year.
Yeah.
He was plus 14.5 last year.
Woo!
Chelsea goes down to minus 1.8. Now, he's still signed for 2 more years. So we're still going to have lots more Anton Forsberg. He'll be one of the goalies next year. The fans were split on him. This is the closest fan vote that we've had. C gets the slight edge, 48.4%. But people were giving him B's as well. He had the 2 shutouts for the Ottawa Senators. So I do see a merit with giving him like a B minus would probably be where I land on Anton Forsberg.
I got him at a C plus, Ross, just because I do take into account the injury. That's it's tough for him to really get a full season survey here. But what I'm looking at, Ross, his game logs here from November 27th all the way to December 18th. That's a 12 game sample size, and his record was 2-6-2. Now, obviously, there's some games in relief and things like that in there, but a 2-6-2 record in that stretch. It was tough, and he wasn't able to battle the way that he did in previous years, Ross. At least that's what it seemed like to me. Like, sometimes he would get in there and he would have a nice game, but there was periods like there's that sequence, not last season, but the season before, where he made like 6 amazing saves against Detroit in overtime. Do you remember that game later on in the previous season?
Yep.
And he's just battling. Like, he doesn't care that these games mean nothing. He needs that contract. He needs that stability for his family. He's trying to boost his numbers, and he was able to do that. Now, I'm not saying that he got lazy with his signed contract. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying it didn't seem like he was out there able to kind of mop everything up when the Sens weren't able to clean things up or made mistakes. Before, it seemed like he was able to do that. This season, I didn't get that feeling. I didn't like before when Forsberg was in net. I was confident. I felt like other Sens fans were confident. I felt the players were confident. I felt DJ Smith was confident in Forsberg, which is something that DJ is not a goalie guy, but he didn't have that same shine this year.
No, I think that's a fair way to put it. So what do you expect from him next year then?
I'm maintaining my position on Forsberg. For this team to have success, he needs to be your 1B goalie or maybe even a backup. Like, he cannot be your main guy, but if he's a backup, you better have brought in a damn good goalie to demote him down to that, because he's going to be fighting for those starts, and his contract is a little higher than most backups are. I'm expecting him to play 35 games, hopefully closer to 40, try to split with another goalie. And all we need is we got to bump that save percentage up here. What was he at? A 902, I think.
Yeah.
I need Forsberg to be at a 910. He needs to be able to come in and not just play back-to-backs, but have a couple stretches where he strings long wins and where he shows this team that, hey, you got me signed for a couple more years here, and it's going to fit into our plans here. Because basically, in my mind, when Forsberg's contract runs out, likely the Sens will move on from him, because Mads Søgaard will be ready to either take over his 1B role or something a little more expansive than that.
37th in save percentage league-wide this year, Anton Forsberg. His 11 wins were 46, but again, he didn't get to play the full year, so take that one with a grain of salt. But what I found interesting is that Pierre Dorion wants to get him into Ottawa earlier this summer. He said that he's a hard worker, but he wants him to show up in the shape that he finishes the season in. So he wants him to come a little bit earlier. We'll see how that affects Anton Forsberg's next season with the Ottawa Senators. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what your expectations are, because for me, it's a little bit tough when you're coming off 2 major knee injuries, and we'll see how he's able to battle back. But a very well-liked guy in the room. The next guy we're going to discuss gave us the insight on that last time we had Mads Søgaard on, just how liked Anton Forsberg is in the community as well. It's the kind of guy who would go to a pride parade, really show his face in the community, and try to do the right things. And when it comes to his on-ice performance, he can battle. You got 2 of the Sens' 3 shutouts this year, but you want to see a little more consistency, especially for a guy who isn't going to get the leeway of being your 1-1-1. I'm going to play all the time. You need to make those spot starts really matter so you can string together a 4 or 5 game win streak as he's done in the past.